good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. I can't seem to help. It's like you cast a spell. I'll keep loving you. You don't love me too. But I won't cry it. I'll just sing a lullaby. You moved on already. I know I gotta stay strong. You said that you love me forever, but I guess that's gone. And I can't seem to hide all this pain that I feel inside. But that's okay, I'll just sing a lullaby. Listen, I can't seem to help. No. Oh, it's like you cast a spell. Can't believe we're through. You win and you lose. But I won't cry, I'll just sing a lullaby. Listen. You moved on already and I know I gotta stay strong. You said that you love me forever, but I guess that's gone. And I can't seem to hide all this pain that I feel inside. But that's okay, I'll sing a lullaby. How you doing? I'm back again, back at it. I hope everything is well with you. I hope life isn't tricked you into thinking that it's too hard and you can't handle it. I know sometimes it's a struggle and you feel alone. Lots of people everywhere. Even some that would say they're close. But yet you go through those times when you just feel alone. It's like it's just you. God's watching you. And you feel like everybody, including God, is not concerned. But that's not true. He is concerned about you. Learn more about him in his word. The 66 books of the Bible, Holy Bible. American Standard Version, New King James Version. There's a couple other ones too. He is concerned. And if you don't know anything about the God of the Bible, you've only been told about other gods, I will tell you straight up, the Bible says that no one comes to him. The Father says no one comes to him but by Jesus. Jesus said that. No one goes to the Father but by me. Father, Son, Holy Ghost, all one God. But three persons. All there at the beginning. Anyhow, this is not a Christian podcast, but it is a podcast by a Christian. Therefore, it is a Christian podcast from that respect. I have an interesting podcast today, episode with you. I hope that I don't say anything a little bit too wild, but as I said before, never take my words as advice, even though this one will definitely sound like I'm trying to give you advice. But you can also use this whole episode as what not to do. No problem. You've been listening long enough. You know what's up. I really appreciate you listening to my podcast. You don't have to, and hopefully it's interesting. I wish somebody would send me an email and tell me what they feel about the podcast and if it's helped in any way, shape, or form, and maybe if there's anything that you would actually like me to do or talk about on the podcast. I am not, well, it wouldn't bother me. Put it that way. Let's see which one of these are straight for this one again. It's a crazy world. It is a crazy world. Thanks for just chilling out with me, man. Girl. You. Well, you never know, but I'm talking to you. Anyhow, if you do want to send an email to the podcast, it is yprpodcast@gmail.com. Again, I say yprpodcast@gmail.com. You're probably right, you know. I'd love to hear from listeners. And you could tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what I need to change, or what I need to start doing. And I'll consider anything. Okay? Okay, cubby. Okay. It's funny phrasing. All right, then let me just find this thing here, because I think I lost it. All right. Yes, I did. I think I moved. Uh-oh. I have to change something here. Yo, man, we're just chilling. You ain't got nowhere to go. You here. If you're cutting that grass, if you lying down in bed, about to try to go to sleep, and, whatever it is that you are doing, maybe just going for a nice long drive out in the area around the trees. Maybe it's summertime for you. Maybe it's wintertime. Maybe it's fall. Maybe it's the in-between time. Anyhow, just muttering around. You don't mind that I just sit here and talk to you, do you? I mean, what else you got to do? I mean, you probably do have other things you could be and should be doing, but I mean, you're here for some reason anyway, right? Maybe it's just to listen to the clown who doesn't know what he's saying on the podcast stream there, whatever it is. Maybe you happened across this podcast because you loved the beautiful face at the front of this podcast. I don't even know what you're seeing. You might be seeing the thumbnail as well as you might be seeing my face. I don't know. Depends on your provider, it seems like. Anyhow, this is podcast episode. Wait, hold up. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. I do not profess to be a professor of anything except I am a professing Christian. Although this is not a Christian podcast, it is a podcast by a Christian. Therefore, most of my stance on everything that I say, unless I'm just wrong, is from that standpoint that I was speaking about earlier as a believer in Christ. Did you know that the word Christian was a derogatory term? Apparently back in those times when the church just started, they were in Christ. They were disciples, they were followers, but they were not Christians. They didn't call themselves Christians, apparently. We adopted that after it was used as a derogatory. Kind of like some other words we've heard before that people tend to start calling themselves after it being a derogatory term. Anyhow. Podcast episode 195. How to actually talk to people face to face. Conversations in a digital world. I think it's kind of funny to have a little bit of a hoarse voice. I don't know. I mean, it could be annoying, I suppose. But I guess it's for me, because I love sound, it's almost like I have a different voice. And that's cool to me, except for if it came along with a sore throat, which it doesn't. Which is kind of cool again. Anyhow, welcome to episode 195 of You're Probably Right. Let's be real. Face-to-face conversations are becoming a lost art. People don't know how to talk to each other. We text, we DM, we X, I guess. Weird. We send voice notes. But when it comes to actually looking someone in the eyes and holding a real conversation, a lot of people struggle. Can't concentrate. Can't do it. Because they're thinking and they're hearing their voice. Maybe. I don't know. And it's not just a social thing. It's affecting how we build relationships, form connections, and even succeed in life. Today, we're breaking down how to talk to people. Not in a screen, not behind a keyboard, but face to face. Let's get into it. You know, I remember times when I would have a difficult time talking, but it wasn't just one person. It was, for me, it was many people. I have a hard time talking in front of people like a whole church full of people or auditorium. And it's always been an issue for me, and I've always tried to avoid it as much as possible. And I'm still that way to this day. I mean, there has been times when I've obviously spoken in front of hundreds of people, sang in front of hundreds of people, which is a lot easier for whatever reason. I guess because I'm just singing what I've memorized and whatever I feel in the song, so I don't really have to worry about people as much, as long as I can close my eyes sometimes. But people are having a difficult time. People I've spoken to have had a difficult time just communicating with people offline. They're able to do so much by the text, but then when they come to face, it's like, who are you, man? So, anyhow, face-to-face communication is dying, and I think that people need to figure out new and exciting ways to approach people that they're actually around, instead of looking to talk to people who are just a 3x5 picture on a screen or in a little video. So anyhow, we're going to talk, I'm going to break down the sections for you. Why do people struggle with face-to-face conversations? The difference between online and offline conversations. How men and women communicate differently in conversations. Why small talk is actually important and how to get better at it. How to improve face-to-face conversations instantly. Subtle ways to gauge if someone wants to talk to you without embarrassment. All right, and then that's it. All right, so we're going to start it off. Okay, I won't even get into it. Let's just say why do people struggle with face-to-face conversations? Ever noticed how people say anything behind a screen but freeze up in person? You have people who will talk about this and talk about that and how they're going to do this and how they're going to do that. And then when you get face to face with the person, it's like, who are you? You know, it's like you were saying you're big and bad and you're going to do this and this emoji and that emoji. When you get in front of the person's face, or you get in front of my face, all of a sudden you're like somebody else. You have none of that guts. It's kind of like liquid courage when people drink and then they start dancing up a storm when usually they couldn't even do a two-step on the side or the edge of the dance floor. But give them a little alcohol and they're in the middle of it, losing their minds. I think that's how the phone is. It's almost like because it hits your endorphins or whatever it is, the next video, the next message, it's kind of like that's what the alcohol does. So anyhow, that's just a little tidbit of information. Research insight. Let's see. Studies show that online communication removes nonverbal cues, making it easier to express thought without pressure of real-time reaction. And I would say that's definitely true. Like, I've been actually talking about that for a while, where when I'm talking to someone, especially if I'm talking to a few people or if somebody's rushing me, and that's just my speech, and I can feel it in just, face to face of them trying to rush me off because they want to go, or they want to end the conversation, or they want to say what they want to say. So when you remove all the fidgetiness and quirks of a person's mouth movements and eyes, herky-jerky all around the place while you're trying to talk, and you're, in face-to-face, you're getting all of those messages, all those nonverbal messages, body language and all that is happening while you are speaking. So it's like two different recordings. It's like there's a visual recording, and there is talking recording, which is from your mouth, and then also the noise of your brain thinking of what to say next, all happening at the same time, and not exactly doing the same thing, because the thought process is thinking of what to say next to make it loop in to what you're talking about while you're thinking about it. Then it's down to your mouth where you're speaking the words, interrupting the thought process, and then then you have their reactions. Their jerking of the right top eye, or whatever it is, or a sudden smirk or a frown, and you're actually, while you're trying to concentrate on what you're saying or what you're going to say, you're also tripping off looking for these different physical symbols, or signals, or whatever it is. Like if your arms are crossed, which you notice, and then you look at them and you notice that their arms are crossed, then you look down and you say, oh, my arms are crossed too. So then you unfold your arms and you put your arm to the right of your right cheek, and your hand underneath your right elbow, and then they do it too, and they're reflecting your posture and your body movements, which means that they're into what you're saying, or they like you, so therefore they're cool with whatever you're saying in most cases, or they're trying to support you, and even though they don't think you're saying the right thing. But all that stuff is going on in a physical conversation, right? None of that is going on a text. And therefore, people have an easier time doing whatever it is they want to do on text, because you don't have to worry about all the noise, the visual noise, the thought noise, the actual vocal noise coming out, making it sometimes harder to decipher. And sometimes we're better at pieces of that communication on both sides than others. Many people feel safer behind screens because there's no immediate judgment, no awkward silence, and no fear of reaction. And the funny thing is, if you can become the two, because when you're on text or whatever it is, you're coming up with the wisest things. Sometimes you rewind it. You delete it and start over again. Sometimes you go off to this side and that side of the argument, and it's only what you read from the person coming in, and you can honestly interpret it the way you want to interpret it, or just your brain does. And you still have time. You could research something while you're in the middle of a text to make sure that your facts are straight. There's so many things you can do to make sure that your answers are undeniable in some sense of the word, Anyhow, the difference between online and offline conversations, which I kind of said already. Why do some people seem confident online but awkward in real life? Who knows? Maybe they feel, and they've been told, they have a big nose. Maybe they think that you're staring at that one pimple on the left side above their eye that looks like some weird sty thing. Who knows? Social media and texting create illusions of social skills, but they don't really require real-time thinking, active listening, or improvisations. They're just there. You don't have to active listen, because even if you put your phone down for a second while the other person is typing, you could be dancing and doing the moonwalk and then come back across and then just read it at your leisure. So there's no real-time thinking. Because, for certain things, people judge you on how long you take to answer. But on a text, it's already implied you pretty much have as long as you need. Now, I know some people like shorten your time by like a minute or less than a minute and a half, or depending on how long it is. But and it's not dragging out the conversation. But generally speaking, you have a lot of time with that big brain in your head to process the information and come up with a smart response. You don't even have to type. If you're old school, you can just press the record button, the voice record, and record it in there and let the phone dictate, transcribe your speech. So it's just different. Social media, you can react to the same things. You can send people the smartest thing you've ever seen on text, and at some level they represent what they see from you. You can give them a feeling by it's a nice music, or from maybe their favorite music, with the visuals of something that you would like to tell them, and you'd like it to get deep in their recesses of their mind, so you send it with their favorite music, and it works. The reality is, music, emotional scenes, they work on people. People don't think they do, but they do. And the funny thing is, people develop these, they curate these online personas. Maybe the person's name is Glenn Davison, and online he's Big GD, or he's Glenn or Len. Like, you're just whoever it is, and you can be cool, you can be forward thinking. You might have started a conversation with someone after being rejected by 10 others, and at this point you're speaking to this one person, and you're like, bang, I don't care about that, bang, a woman should be this, bang, and all of a sudden all this stuff's hitting. And you become this online persona of the cocky man's man, and for whatever reason, the person you're speaking to eats it all up, right? But that's not who you are. And there you're just playing a position. You know what I mean? And it's not real, but that's who you are online. Now you guys meet up, you talk, you go to play mini putt or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're shy and you don't even have anything really smart, wise, crackish kind of, you know what I mean? Loud, boisterous, gregarious comebacks or whatever it is, or lines, because there's no time to think. And maybe you're stricken by the woman's beauty or whatever it is, or the person's height or whatever it is. And now you can hardly think. Real-time interactions require authenticity, because people can read your body language. So when you're lying, you give off tells. When you're frustrated, you give off tells. When you want to leave, you give off tells. When you want to stay, you give off tells. You don't let the person walk away so easy. You want to say 2 more words, and they're already walking in the other directions 20 feet away, but you try to drag them back in with a question. They're like, people do stuff like that, and they don't realize that they have these tells. But again, online, you're safe, but it's not really you. And it's funny, sometimes relationships do work like that, but it's funny, like the person who had this crazy persona, or maybe you act like you're not as uptight as you really are online, but then the person finds that you're uptight. It's almost like they have to meet you after meeting you, and it doesn't always go cool, But it is what it is. How men and women communicate differ big time in a conversation. Are men and women speaking the same language? Are we wired differently? I definitely think so. Men tend to be more direct and solution oriented, while women focus on emotional depths and connection, and they want to linger for a while. They're not even sure if they want the answer in many cases. But the funny thing is, that's all guys want to do. Guys want to solve the problem. Guys want to avert danger. Guys want to get everybody out of danger. Guys want to put everybody in danger. Guys want to handle something. There has to be a point. They don't want to just be all fluffy, floating out in the clouds. I don't know where I am, and it's sunny and shiny. And you know what I mean? They want to know that, oh yeah, they're going through all this, but it's going to be raining in about 10 minutes, and they're going to be landing in Acapulco in 15, or whatever the case is. Like, it's just, guys want to know what's the point? Where are we going? Where is this going? What do you want to do? Or not even where this is going, as in down the line 2 months from now. Maybe they just want to know where they're going right now. While women don't really focus on a goal. They want to focus on focus. And sometimes that's too slow for most guys. Recognizing these differences help avoid miscommunication and frustration in conversations. As you hear me, maybe there's something that you didn't know about the other. Talk about it. Learn about it. Learn why there's miscommunications. And you have to be willing to actually say. You can't say stuff like, well, you can, but it's ridiculous. I've always been this way. You should know when I do this, that's what this means. I'm not going to tell you because I've told you 10 times already. What's your problem? Dude's going to learn you as best he can, right? You give a hint, or just tell the person so you can move on with the next thing. And of course, that's from a guy's standpoint, right? I want to move on to the next thing. I don't want to be having the same problem 7 months from now. It's more important of us, for us to get there than how the journey is. We just want to get there, rip that Band-Aid right off. And it sounds horrible, right, guys? And that's how you have to understand it as well. It doesn't sound that endearing. They want you to take your time. Everything shouldn't be just about the goal. Hit the goal. Boom. Over. Enjoy the small spots. The small spots in life. In the conversation. In the meeting. In the hug. Yes. Why small talk is actually important. Small talk is big talk. And how to get better. Small talk isn't pointless. It's a gateway to deeper conversation. Sometimes it's, yeah. Well, is it raining out there still? Oh yeah, it's raining. Okay. Bet you got an umbrella. Actually, you know what? I forgot it. You know what? I have an umbrella. You want to borrow it? You can bring it back tomorrow. We both work at the same mall. I work over here at Foot Locker. Right? Easy. Like whatever it is. Maybe you both working in a science lab. You're like, man, I'm not sure my Bunsen burner is heating up enough. Do you mind if I borrow yours? Or could you show me how to use yours, because it's a little bit different than mine is? I don't mean to bother you. Are you okay to come over and just help me for a second? Sure, I can help you. What about your beakers? Are they clean? Because they have to totally be disinfected before you can use them on the next experiment. Or do you want to borrow mine as well? Right? Like, it could be anywhere and anything, really. Like, you just let it flow, but you be honest with it. The problem is again, these personas that we have offline, like online. It's like, what if you met somebody in the pool? Like, I'm just like, let's just say you didn't have any digital stuff. Like, what are you gonna do? You gotta be you. Everything's in the cloud somewhere these days. Research insists, insights that talk about the research. First impressions are shaped in the first 7 seconds of a conversation. You imagine that. You have 7 seconds to impress somebody. You better not have something stuck in your teeth. Your hair better be combed properly. Your pants better fit properly. Your shoes better not be dirty. Your stomach better not be bloated. If it is, your hair better just lay, like there's so many different things. And then facial expressions. And this is 7 seconds. Remember, this person's in yours, of course, your eyes all over the place. Maybe it's just you're a person just listening to the way that they speak to you. You never know. There's so many different ways for each of us to interpret somebody else's messages that they're giving us in 7 seconds. So, practical tip is, instead of just asking, how are you? Start with something specific and engaging, like, tell me, how are you doing? And tell me something interesting that's happening in your life right now. Well, I'm pretty good. Yeah, you know what? I just finished painting this room that I've been waiting to paint for the last, like, just honest. There's always something happening. Or you could say, nothing really exciting is actually happening in my life right now. I don't do much. I hang out at home, cook food, take care of my kids, or I just do my homework, come back to school, pay attention in class, and do it all over again. And, that's my life right now. That would let the person know that, maybe this person needs to spice up their life a little bit. Or maybe there's a reminder that the person needs to slow down a little bit and, to hang out with the finer things in life. You know what I mean? Or like, what's the best thing that happened to you this week? And maybe the person will have a hard time thinking. Maybe it'll make them feel like, oh, you actually care. Nobody's actually ever asked me that question before. So it's not a big deal when you're trying to feel out a situation, if there's a situation to be had. How to improve face-to-face conversations instantly. Just how to improve. Good conversations don't just happen. You create them. Remember, you're just trying to improve. Make eye contact. It builds trust and keeps people engaged. I mean, nobody wants to talk to somebody who's shifty-eyed, watching or looking at somebody or something or somebody else while they're talking to you. You're talking to them. So remember, kind of like Hitch, that movie. Be in the moment, because you never know when that moment's going to be right, and you never know when the right person might be standing in front of you. So give them your undivided attention. It builds people's trust. You're not all looking all over. Your eyes looking left, right, up and down and all over the place, or staring at the ground, shows no confidence, or you can't focus. There's other things that are happening that are more important than the person standing in front of you. It's not going to endear you to them. And listen more. Talk less. Or talk more than you would normally do if you don't talk much. The best conversations happen with those, amazing things that you have to say, but also the amazing things that you heard that you can respond to. The best conversationalists make the other person feel heard. So the best way to be the best conversationalist is to listen more, process the information, give give feedback, or give snippets, paraphrase what they said. You know what I mean? Not always. You got to know when, because sometimes if you paraphrase too much what people say, they'll get this idea that they're in a counseling session, which many people like. Most people like to be counseled. Most people want good, wise counsel for free whenever they can get it. And if you can be a friend to give that to somebody, trust me, they'll always be coming back for more. May not always have the time for them, but trust me, they'll always come back. Hold on a second. This is wild. Here we go. Just a second, y'all. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to put this down here. Wow, I'm really going off today. Hopefully I didn't lose my thought just now. Sure, very well could have, because I'm here. Uh-oh. I'm doing crazy stuff now. Let's see if I can undo something. I can't do it while I'm here. All right, never mind. Let me just move this. Now, this is the kind of thing that I should probably cut out, but I probably won't. It's okay, right? Subtle ways to gauge if someone wants to talk to you without embarrassment. Okay. How do you know if someone actually wants to engage in a conversation with you? Do you know? Can you tell? Or are you constantly being told, hey man, where you going? I was talking to you. Or the person, their arms crossed and their feet pointed away from you, letting you know that they want to get away down the hall. They got to go. Or they had to use the washroom and you kind of held them up. Can you read that room? Practical questions for men and women to use in real life. Okay. For men approaching women, I give you 3. All right. You may have to fill in the blanks though. Let's see. Hey, I don't want to interrupt, but do you mind if I ask you something real quick? Now, obviously, you're going to have to say something, or you have to at least come up with something that you're going to ask. Right? Maybe it's, hey, I don't want to interrupt, but do you mind if I ask you something real quick? Yeah, I was wondering about the heat in this place. I noticed that for some reason around 4 o'clock, it seems to get really, really cold, and we're here for another 2 hours. Do you know who controls the heat, or is that you? You know, or whatever it is. You just say something in the conversation. I mean, maybe you don't end with the, is that you? Because then they'll just say, yeah, I'll turn it up. Try to, and just wonder, you can just, okay, yeah, I'll turn it up. Okay, well, is there a reason why they've been doing it that way? Or is it to save money? Or, like, what's the reasoning behind that? There's just, like, you just gotta be honest and real. So the best thing is to try to ask a question about something that you either know something about or care about. Or maybe you are inquisitive. There's something inquisitive about the person's job that you can, ask them about if they have time and you just want to chat. And you're showing them that you just want to chat because you're asking them something about them so they can explain about them, giving you some information. And you can kind of gauge it from how well and how curt they are, or how, hopefully not how curt they are. And they might, you never know, they might go back and forth with you. I just overheard, and then, I just overheard that they're going to be giving us a raise in 2 months. And I have to ask, what do you think? Person's going to say, well, that's amazing. Been, fighting hard to pay my bills. So, I mean, $140 won't definitely hurt my hands or my bank account every 2 weeks. Just stuff like that. It's easy. You overheard something, bring them some information. Maybe you do have some intel. Maybe you're connected to the right people wherever you are, and sometimes maybe you get information before others or whatever it is. Or you could be like, whoa, I didn't know, but apparently the bus fares are going up in the next month. And maybe you already noticed that they take the bus. Or maybe they'll say, oh, I don't take the bus, I drive. Oh yeah, where do you drive from? That kind of thing. And not too creepy, where you're asking the exact location, the intersection of where they live. But, whatever. How was that drive in? Oh, yeah, you're coming from way from there, eh? Yeah, well, it's snow outside. Like, or I heard it was raining on that side of town. I don't know how you drive 50 minutes. How does that go in the morning? Is it coffee first? Like, just be normal. If you're interested, then you'll have something interesting to ask, really. Just don't be scared to do it. For women engaging with men, I'm curious, do you guys actually think that it's okay to go to bed at 2 every night? Just, something, whatever. Is it a big deal with you? You know what I mean? Like, not me. I go to bed at 10:30. It depends. I mean, if there's a movie on, yeah, but it's definitely not a rule. Did somebody tell you that? Well, actually, you know what I mean? Like, it's just be normal. Be normal. Maybe, be honest. What's the weirdest thing a girl has ever said to start a conversation with you? Then the guy is definitely going to know that you're must be a little bit interested, or you don't have to. It could be you just wanted to know because, somebody talked to you and said a really weird thing to start a conversation. And that's what you're going to, relay to them once they give you their 2 cents, if they can think of anything, because you caught them on the spot. Or do you think guys or girls are worse at keeping conversation going? And then the person, they want a little witty banter, might say, well, definitely you guys are, whatever, you know what I mean? And then it's kind of the burden is to keep the conversation going. You could play a little verbal tennis, you know what I mean? And the reason why they work, they're non-threatening, easy to answer in most cases. It creates a natural engagement. They gauge interest without forcing interaction. They leave room for an exit if the person isn't interested, right? Do you think guys or girls are worse? It's definitely guys. Yeah, okay. They don't give you any extra information. But it's okay. You know what I mean? They gave the answer. Maybe they were too nervous. Maybe they'll catch you next time if they're interested. You might have got a bad reaction this time, and then for some reason they may start the conversation next time. Then you find out, oh, this person's just not very good at being a conversationalist right now. Hey, I'm working on that myself too. I noticed you came back and talked to me. Last time you talked to me, it didn't seem like you wanted to say much. And it was like, no, I just didn't know what to say. I was nervous. And if you guys are honest that way, things go better, way better. We've forgotten how to talk to each other, but it's not too late to fix it, I think. Online and face-to-face conversations don't have to be in competition. They should complement each other. But it's so nice when people can just talk to people right in front of them and stop searching for the other 8 billion online somewhere when you have people right in front of you. But of course, it can allow, and that is, of course, online chatter and texting and stuff, it does allow you to come up with your best stuff. The only thing you have to remember is if you're going to go online, be yourself. You could be a more jovial self, not such a stick in the mud if you know you're a stick in the mud, and do your best to keep it genuine between the two personas. Don't create anything that you can't back up in real life. Start practicing. Challenge yourself to have one real conversation, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Just one. Not one a day, just one. You know what I mean? And hey, you can leave a message. I think at Spotify, I think you can actually leave a message below the episode. Let me see. Should I look at that? But anyway, if you don't want to do that, you can just email me, right? And you know the email right now, right? Let me hear you say it. You mean you don't know? It's yprpodcast@gmail.com. Okay. If you have questions, if you want something answered, I guess you could do that, or you whatever, man. That's my email for the podcast, and we'll answer if anything comes up or you like me to look at something. All right. Anyhow, I'm out. I kind of feel like I want to hang out a little bit, you know what I mean? But just joking. Anyhow, take care of yourself. God bless you. Samsy, I'm out. Oh yeah, before I go, remember, if you have any questions you want to ask, or maybe you have a topic that you want me to talk about, you can email me at yprpodcast@gmail.com. Take care. Hey, come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 dogs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.